How you guys doing? What's going on? Backlog Chronicles, something new we're doing. It is well, not really something new, but I just wanted to do it because I got these beautiful gentlemen here with me. We actually wanted to do a Little Nightmares 2 spoiler cast. I can I'm honestly new to the whole Little Nightmares experience. None of these guys are, at least Pampa. I don't know if you fall in the same category as me.
I'm
Do
you,
you?
bro. I'm you.
Oh yeah. Oh yeah. Okay. So Jordan and Elu are the Little
Nah,
Nightmares veterans.
I'm kind of new as well, honestly.
But when did you play Little Nightmares 1?
A couple weeks
Has it-
ago.
Okay, never mind.
Yeah,
Then
that
it's
was
just
his first
Jordan.
time. Yeah, it's just me. It's just me. Yeah.
Lead the way, Jordan.
Well, yeah, but anyway, yeah, I wanted to do this with these guys because we had some good conversation about it, honestly, and it's pretty.
Yeah.
The varying opinions on it is really cool, but I'm Mo, and I am joined by Mr. Xbox Ambassador with the pearly whites, Jordan. Hey, man. Yeah, oh shit, bro, you dabbed?
Oh,
You fucking
Oh,
dabbed?
man.
Oh my god, you
Oof.
dabbed, bro! It's 2021. Do people even know what a dab is anymore?
Oh my God.
let me go
Should I
planking, man.
should I
My
plank
son's
next
doing
time?
those.
God. Oh dear
There,
God.
that's the one.
Dear God. And then we are also joined by my friend and brother, Elu. Elu is a wonderful writer and a poet and a veteran, and he's the type of guy that if he wasn't married, you would definitely want him to get married to your sister, daughter, whatever it is, man. Elu, you
Wow.
are a gentleman, dude. Yeah, you are a gentleman, and I say that with all respect. I appreciate you being here, man.
Appreciate that, Mo. Thank you so much, man. I deserve 25% of that at most. Thank you so much.
And then
See?
and then for our third guest, we have the porn star of California himself.
Oh, boy.
Oh my. Oh
Pampa.
my.
How you doing,
Hey.
brother?
I'm good, man. I'm here, man. So it's beautiful. With
Good to
beautiful
see you
men.
guys, man.
Let's go.
All right.
Absolutely.
Okay. All right. So we wanted to talk about Little Nightmares. I don't know if you guys want to just skip straight to 2, or well, I mean, it really is because just to kind of because the conversations we had the other night on when we were playing on Xbox, we were talking about how 1 ties in with 2, and how it's definitely true that 2 is a prequel to 1. The way I wanted to start it off is I think the ending of 2 was nothing short of awesome, in terms of, how, the whole twist and how we perceive 6 to be. And my confusion really was how it ties in with the first game, as to how she got to the maw. So basically, just a rundown. You start the game. You're this kid with a freaking paper bag on his head. His name is Mano. And you end up rescuing 6 from this cottage where it seems like she's being held hostage or as a prisoner by this big-ass hunter. You rescue her. You kill the hunter, which was just an incredible experience on its own, just running away from him and hiding and, just picking up that shotgun and the way that the sound just completely disappears. It's as if like you actually were there and you actually shot that freaking shotgun itself, and the way that it's just deafening. What an incredible little touch that was. And then you go on and you go to the school and the city and everything else. And you have these experiences with this little girl, and you end up finding out that she's 6 when she picks up that yellow raincoat. Right then and there, when she picks up the yellow raincoat, that's actually when I knew that it was a prequel. Believe it or not, because I didn't read anything on the game, I didn't see anything on the game. Because remember, well, now we know 3 out of us 4 are all new to Little Nightmares. So we all played them in succession. So, quickly, like we didn't wait a long time in between. So right then, that's when I knew that it was a prequel, because I'm like, okay, if she just got her raincoat now, then that means, okay, this is the raincoat that she has in the first one. And you end up seeing her breakdown, I guess, her mental breakdown throughout the game.
Yeah.
You know, first you start to see it when she's playing with the mannequins, and when she just starts. What was she doing with the mannequins? I don't even remember.
Yeah, she had one of the mannequin hands, and she was just basically just breaking all the fingers and just disfiguring
Oh,
the
that's
hell
what
out
it
of
was.
it.
Okay.
And then before
Okay.
that,
Fingers
So
were
she's
hurting.
the student. Remember, you were sneaking up on one of those school kids, and as you're walking to the
yes,
hammer, she beats you to the student and just starts just going to town on his head, and then eventually she
yes.
just cracks his skull.
Oh my God, that's right. I completely forgot about that the
Yeah.
other night when we were discussing it. So yeah, she does that, and then really for me, the part that got me the most was when you burn that when you throw that big boss or in the first area in the mannequin area
Oh yeah.
when you throw him in the incinerator,
Yeah.
and then she starts warming up her hands on the fire. I remember
It was cold.
I sent the text message, or I sent the DM in the group chat, and I was like, "This is some sadistic shit," you know. It really, really was. So anyway, we started to see how she, you know, goes from this innocent little child to a sadistic child, I guess, if you want to say, you know, for lack of terms or whatever the hell it is. But then we end up finding out, you know, game goes through, and then they get separated, and then Mono tries to reconnect with her in any way he can, and he loses his paper bag. He loses the paper bag on his head once he meets what's the name of? I keep calling him Slender Man.
We got
What's
a
his
bunch of
name?
cool names for him. I think canonly, I think he's called the Thin Man. Elu calls
The
him
Thin
Mr.
Man?
Hattie.
Right.
Yeah.
Thin Man is his canon name. I like
I think
Mr.
it's
Hattie. I
Thin
don't
Man.
care. I'll die on that grave.
Dude, honestly, like he just reminds me of Slender Man.
Yeah,
he's
absolutely.
he's
Absolutely.
so creepy and thin and tall
Absolutely.
and
Yeah.
whatever it is, and I'm just like, yeah, this guy just gives me the creeps.
Yeah. There's
And then
inspiration there for sure.
oh yeah, absolutely.
100%.
And one can't help, and then you end up like kind of realizing that they are trying to get to this tower that's sending the signal that's basically keeping the people in the city under some sort of weird control. You see people committing suicide, you know, when you're walking and you see them jumping off. That was such an incredible scene.
Incredible shot.
Where they're just standing at the edge, and then they just start falling off one by one, you know. And you kind of get the sense that this type of mind control or whatever it is through the TV is, you know, as soon as you turn off the TV, these people just start going nuts, and then they come after you because of this strange possession that they have. And you end up making your way to the tower, and the Slender Man is what I'm going to keep calling him. He keeps chasing you until you get there, and then you end up realizing, and then you end up escaping him. Or actually, wait, do you? Man, it's only been like 10. It's only been like a week, and I completely forgot how you. Do you defeat him? Do defeat him, right?
Yeah.
Oh yeah, it was that. Yeah, there was a fight. That's
You're like
right. I'm sorry,
aligning your
yes.
hands with his, and you're kind of like trying to stop
That's
him.
what it was. Yes. So that was one of the cool things I actually wanted to, because they kind of took a page from the lady in Little Nightmares 1, you know, where you have to line up the mirror. Right. It was very reminiscent of that, where you have to line up the mirror to her, you know, depending on the angle that she's coming at you from. And once you defeat him, thinking that he's the final boss, really the final boss in different stages is 6. And 6 takes on this monstrosity form, and you have to break this music box that she is playing. You have to just hit it over and over and over until you finally destroy it, rendering her back to her normal form. You know, I don't know if that scene itself, that whole scene play, you know, the multiple stages of her fight was what she actually was, you know, or if it was just metaphorical for the game itself, considering that it's called Little Nightmares, you know, or if because I get the fact that she became a monster, you know, like we just saw her evolution throughout the story itself and how she came to be what she is. But anyway, you end up breaking this box and the music box, and then you escape with her. you end up finding, and then you end up seeing that what is really controlling this entire thing is this blob with like hundreds of eyes. I don't know what the proper canon name for it is. If
Yeah.
anybody can, I never really looked it up.
Yeah.
And she jumps, and usually in the story, every time Mano is jumping, 6 is always ahead of him, and she always catches him as he's about to fall, and she pulls him up. Now, what we know is that was pretty much the biggest twist of the game. She lets him go. She stares at him for a second, and she lets him go. I had like this Jon Snow moment at that time, like because you're trying to process it. Did we all watch Game of Thrones here?
Yeah.
Okay. Ilu,
Yes.
did you watch Game of
Yes.
Thrones? Okay.
Oh yeah.
So okay. So obviously, spoiler inside of a spoiler cast for Game of Thrones.
We're
Really
spoiling
quick, but
everything. Everything is
yeah,
spoiled.
basically, pretty much, man. Everything is on the
That's
table.
Mo's
But
MO.
yeah, I know. Unfortunately, but it's when Jon Snow basically when he gets when he's backstabbed, by his brothers in the Black, and they kill him, and that's kind of like that. That was kind of that moment for me until I actually like processed it and I discussed it with you guys. But I want to go around. I'll start with Ilu. I just want to see, you guys' takes on it, because for me, we already know at that point that Mano. So when Mano falls, he doesn't die. He falls down, and he takes on the persona of the Thin Man or the Slender Man, right? And there's two ways about it. We were talking about it before when Slender Man was chasing him throughout the entire game, him and 6. Was Slender Man trying to prevent him from staying with 6 and aligning with 6, knowing that she would backstab him? Was Slender Man trying to prevent that from happening so he doesn't become him? Was his future self trying to prevent his past self from becoming what he is? When Mono falls, when she lets him go and he falls and he becomes Thin Man, did he become Thin Man because she dropped him, or did he? What was the other thing I was trying to say? I forgot what I asked you guys the other day. There was 2 questions I asked. I asked, did he become Thin Man because she dropped him, or did she, or did she know already what he already became when she did that pause, because she was already captured by him, right? And she knows what he looks like.
Right.
And she never knew what Mono looked like because he had the paper bag on his head the entire time. And that was something we discussed. So I personally, I'm under the impression that, initially, even after talking about it with you guys kind of changed my mind about it a little bit. She definitely knew who he was. There is 2 camps. There's 2 camps that either say 6 is evil, and there's 2 camps that say 6 is, and the other camp says 6 is not evil. And she was just basically looking out for herself because she knew what he was and what he would become, or what he did to her. And that's why she let him go. Initially, I thought that 6 was evil, right? Because I looked at it as, holy shit, she let him go. What the hell is she doing? But this was just part of her persona now. This was part of her monstrosity, right? Because we know that she ends up going on to the maw to feed, right? And if you see the secret ending in Little Nightmares 2, which, full disclosure, I ended up watching on YouTube because I just didn't want to play through the game again. She actually ends up going through one of the TVs and she sees an advertisement on the floor, like one of those black spirit things leads her to it, and you end up seeing the maw on this piece of paper. And that's kind of like, foreshadowing into where she's going into the first game. So Ilu, what did you think of, what was your take on this whole thing with 6? You've told me about it before, but I do want you to repeat it because you always just sound so poetic when you speak. I really wanted your take as to, my thing was, one thing I told you guys too is I still don't know about the connection with 1, right? Like, we didn't get this impression of her that she needs to feed. And at least I hope you guys can correct me on this. I didn't see this impression from her at the end of 2. Like, why did she go to the mall? What was the purpose of her going there? Right? that is one of the things that I still can't tie together. And I'm hoping at least this conversation we might be able to, because I get the purpose of what she did over there, but I still can't piece the two together in terms of how the monstrosity that she became at the end of 2 led to her feeding in 1 and having like this bloodlust in 1. So what was your take on all of this, Ilu?
Okay. So, first of all, you have to say what a cool game it is that we're sitting here talking about all these crazy things that can happen, all these different ideas and impressions. I made it a point not to read up or see what all these other impressions were, because I didn't want my mind tainted, except for what we talked about the other day. So I don't know what everybody is saying. I don't know what the canon is, what the accepted terms are, or whatever. But here's what I got from the game. So 2 is absolutely before the first one. And I think she's definitely evil, 6, but I don't think she started that way. I think she started out as innocent as can be. And I think that's actually one of the major themes of the game. I think that I'm going to call him Mr. Hattie because I like Mr. Hattie. I don't know why. Why we're all going with Slender Man. Like, I don't think Slender Man has to be 100%. I'm putting my flag down as Mr. Hattie. So, Mr. Hattie, I think your character was always Mr. Hattie. I think that a lot of the game was Mr. Hattie trying to, maybe in some kind of abstract sense, he was trying to discover his own identity through the chase sequences and that sort of thing. The fact that hats are a major part of the game, including collectibles that you get throughout the game, kind of cements that for me. I think the hats being this thing that they want to emphasize just shows that you are Mr. Hattie. And of course, when you have the big weird battle thing at the end, you take the hat off, and then you're kind of. I didn't see that he was doing that for the benefit of 6. I saw that he was doing that for the benefit of himself. He was actually facing up to the mirror, so to speak. He saw himself and decided, this is where I'm actually accepting my identity. So you have the big little rap battle of lights, and then suddenly you are Mr. Hattie at that point. Whether you fully accept or understand that, you're definitely Mr. Hattie at that point.
So you think, so you think at that point when he took the paper bag or the hat off of his head, so he knew that he was Slender Man. You're saying Mono knew that then why did he go back and rescue her? Why did he want to continue to rescue her if that's the case?
Maybe he needed her. Maybe he just see, the thing is, he continues to go on from there, and then you have the big battle with her. And I don't exactly know why that has to happen, but maybe, Mr. Hattie pulls her into the TV to begin with. In a sense, if we're going with this theory, you already had her, and then she's trying to escape. So I think you kind of want her on your team. And you already have all this, the whole town's already under you anyway, and she's kind of the one that's getting away. So you're chasing her down. So you have this big battle with her, and there's a warped version of her that you see as the big battle, the big boss battle. And I've shared that I think that was a battle of you destroying her innocence. I think going with a music box, that's about as innocent a thing as you can get as far as like the little girl with the music box, and you are smashing the thing up. So, and the whole time it doesn't seem like she actually wants to hurt you, especially at first. Like, you can stand there all day and she won't do anything. But as soon as you start hitting the box, like, it irritates her, and that's when she actually starts getting aggressive. So I think that's you destroying her innocence. And once that's done, that's when she goes full evil. She's absolutely evil at that point. When she's holding you above the ground, and there's a big moment, she stares you down. She's looking right at you, and she sees whether she's known. And that's the thing. I don't know for sure if she's actually noticed you the whole time. Some of those hats weren't really all that clandestine. Let's just be real.
They weren't. They weren't.
No, I think the canon is that he actually had the paper bag over his head the whole time, which that makes sense. But some of those, she could, if she wanted to look at your face, she could know. But at that point, I think she not only knows who you are, but she knows she doesn't want any part of you. So she's going to let you go. You drop onto the big blob of eyes, which I think actually represents the whole town watching the television. I think that whole blob kind of gets its power from, that's all the eyes from the people watching. So they're all on you. You're literally standing on the presence of everybody watching you at the same time. And then you go and you claim your throne, and then you're the king of the castle. So,
but then the Thin Man is basically an agent of the blob. right?
Sure. Like the blob it's kind of a metaphor of the people watching, and then he's just the king of the watching. Yeah.
Because I was trying to also figure out, because like you, like I honestly have not looked at Reddit. I haven't looked at any. I do want to at some point. I haven't looked at Reddit. I haven't seen any of the the message boards or anything like that. I was just trying to kind of like figure out. I'm like, what exactly is he doing for what exactly is he doing for this blob? What exactly is he doing in this tower on his throne? I mean, we already know he captures Six, and he tried to capture Mono. Is his job to, on top of that too, like this whole thing with the TVs, right? Because one thing I told you as well is, what is the Thin Man's job with the TVs, and how? I mean, I don't know, man. I don't even know how I'm going to put it, because this game is it can be so confusing.
Mm-hmm.
Because he's clearly, I don't know what it is that he's doing with the TVs, and how he travels with the TVs, and how he's able to keep these people under like some type of hypnosis, with the TVs itself. We do know also, the other thing too is, in the beginning of the game, this is why I was asking you whether Mono had already known whether he was the Thin Man or not, because as soon as you start the game, there's a broken television set right next to him, in the middle of the forest, right? So we can assume that he had already traveled through that television, or through that TV screen, into where he was right there. Only question is, what was he doing there? And I don't know if this is like some sort of, we talked about this before, whether this is some sort of time loop, or I have no idea. I'm still trying to piece it together, but I can't. And yeah, I don't know, man. So
and that's why we're here.
So that's basically your take on it. Your take on it is, she is so she is evil. That is your take.
She becomes evil, yeah, because as much as the game is a journey of you trying to keep your power, like I think the whole thing is clearly about that, about you. I mean, the people watching the televisions, I think that's your source of power. You can even go a step further and say the reason they're trying to hammer you down as soon as the TV turns off is because that's them like trying to get you back to your Mr. Hattie form, because that's basically you hitting yourself with the people, like you're losing the power, so you need to get that. Whether that is, be that as it may, I think the overarching journey is the tragic tale of Six, who I think was very innocent at the beginning, and I think she's trying to trust you to get through this crazy world, and at the end she's grown a lot, and she's become something entirely different, and she's dropped off that thing that she realizes has changed her, but she's stuck with it now, just like she's stuck with the rain jacket. She's now stuck with these powers and her whole new sense of identity.
Right. So the other thing too is, even so it seems like the Thin Man, we said he's an agent for this blob. We'll keep calling it the blob, but what is the connection with those little souls? Like, does he harvest them? Does he like harvest these souls? The glitches, they're called. I keep freaking calling them souls. Does he harvest them? Like, are you harvesting these souls for? Because it seemed like they were all children. Right. If you noticed, every single glitch.
Great question.
Every glitch in the game was a child, right? So is his job to harvest these children, and to keep this whole transmission thing going? I have no idea. That's the thing. Like, I don't know.
Yeah, Jordan or Papa, what do you guys think about that one?
Yeah, no, I'm
Jordan is he's got
That's a great segue. So I don't really want to kind of go on my take as far as what the overall meaning of the story is, because I would say I have a lot of parallels to what Elu's take is, but more interestingly for me, and because you brought up what is the role of the Thin Man, like I've been trying to figure out what is the role of all these antagonists, like what does the hunter do, what is the teacher doing, what is the hanging man, what is the surgeon? And maybe I'm kind of backtracking a bit now too, or sidestepping even, but just because I played the game twice, I played through it again last week. Leading up to the school, when you're walking in, you go through a diner, and the diner was clearly occupied because all of the bar stools have clothes in there, but it's like the people that were in those clothes were just like evaporated, or like they were abducted, but like the clothes are
Yeah,
just there. So
yeah,
I'm like, what the hell happened here?
yeah.
And one thing that I was just thinking is, and this is probably some sort of mental gymnastics here, but you think of all those like weird school kids, like why are they porcelain dolls? They're not people. Maybe the signal tower or whatever had somehow like condensed these people into these porcelain dolls now, and I guess the teacher rules over them for some reason. They all these people, all these adults regressed to these school kids now, and the teacher has to kind of, I guess, rehab them into whatever form she wants them to. I don't know if you guys would agree with that, or if you thought about something like that.
That's a good take.
It's weird.
Man.
It's weird, right?
I just saw that more metaphorically. I saw them as being just the kids were just
crazy
fragile,
kids,
you know, and they're kind of showing the fragility of.
That's great, actually. Yeah, fragile children, because they broke like dolls, and yeah, they're maniacs and they're bullies, and I guess the teacher's just trying to shape them. But then the surgeon kind of threw me for a loop. Like, yes, he's taking care of that person on the ventilator, but I'm not sure what he's doing with the mannequins. Like, is he trying to create some population for him to coexist with? I couldn't figure that out. But yeah, you going back to the Thin Man and the glitches. I think he definitely does harvest children, because all of those little, like you said, all those little glitches that you see, those were people that were just pulled into the TV, because the first time when he takes 6, as you're hiding under that bed, you can see a glitch of 6 like standing there for a few seconds. And going back to the secret ending, just before it fades out, just before she looks at the Maw poster, her stomach growls. So that clue is into when her hunger starts. So her hunger started after she was taken. So I think that's what drove her to the Maw ultimately, is because that's when her hunger started. But beyond that, though, I guess tying into is 6 good, is 6 evil, I think she's kind of just a survivor, really. And then coming to the big, when she lets go of Mono, I think that was because she realized that, again, Mono was this person that held me captive and transformed me or whatever, and now I'm going to let you go. I'm going to get my vengeance. And then as far as Mono starting next to that TV in the beginning, I think it's definitely a time loop, because it wouldn't make sense per se, as far as because after you watch him age into the Thin Man, how would he regress back to a child again and start the whole thing over? I think it's just a cycle that just kept going over and over and over. I don't know how it breaks.
No, the other thing too is because you played the DLCs for the first one.
Okay,
right?
Yes.
And apparently, and I never played them, but this I did read on, and I wanted your take on it, because in the Secrets of the Maw DLC for the first one, apparently there is a glimpse of the Thin Man.
Yes.
So that means so then what does that mean? That he exists in both? How? And that's the thing. Like, what is his connection with?
Right.
Or was that just something that they put in the game because they knew that they were going to make a sequel?
Right.
You know what I mean? So
it's definitely an interconnected universe, so to speak. But yeah, I wouldn't be able to tell you what specifically his relation is to. I think it might have just been teasing to some other story element they wanted to touch on when they made their next game. But I think that's kind of all I got right now. But those are the things that are really kind of bugging me, because I wanted to figure out, there's so much detail they put into their environments, and there's so much characterization in this world that there's nothing that they put in there has no purpose. Everything's there for a reason. So the storytelling is just phenomenal with this game.
You see, the other thing too is, her hunger starts, right? Her hunger starts, and that's what drives her to the Maw, right? But initially she eats regular food, or rats, or whatever it was, right? And then we end up seeing her jump on one of those little gnomes, right? And eat him. And then she eats the woman, the last lady she defeats. And it kind of seems like even her progression in the first one too, went from just like being hungry to just being bloodthirsty. It's kind of like everything that she went through as well, dude, because if you really think about it, it's kind of the same, because she also went through an evolution in part one as well. Because she started out eating like just simple things, or like innocent things, if you want to say, to all of a sudden like just completely taking this lady's power, completely giving in and wiping out everything and everyone that ended up crossing her path. Which we saw when you defeat the lady and you're just all those disgusting fucking, gluttonous people are just
let it all out, bro.
they're all just dying one by one. So I don't know, man. Like I really, this is something I really want to look into, because I don't even know if anybody, like, I wish I could just ask one of these developers.
There could be some depth there where she doesn't want to be evil. She was innocent in the second game, with the prequel, So she doesn't want to be this evil creature. So maybe she feels the hunger, but she's like, well, maybe I'll just have a little thing, just a little munch. And then she works her way up, but nothing is satiating it. And no matter how much she tries, she has to eat them. She has to get more and more and more. And at the end, it's not even food anymore. It's souls that has to say,
Yeah.
So I think she's actually trying, but it's not working out for poor Six.
Yeah, no, definitely. Yeah. Pompinator.
Hey.
What's your take on all this, man? Everything we talked about.
Okay. First
Let
and
it
foremost,
out, baby. Let
First
it
and
out.
foremost, let me apologize. I have my dog barking in the background, so if you hear,
Nah, don't
my
worry about
apologies.
it.
Don't even hear
That's
it.
okay, dude.
Mo,
That's
I
okay.
need you to I need you to
I gotta
stop me.
Keep it away from Six.
Okay.
No, sorry. So I was just gonna say, I went down this rabbit hole. I got really into this game. I got
Mhm.
into the series. I went down this rabbit hole.
Mm-hmm.
So I could go on. So please stop me if I go too far, or I just won't shut
Dude,
up.
let it
There's
out,
no
man.
too far. Let it out, buddy.
Okay.
Absolutely, man.
So first and foremost, it's fair to say that nobody's wrong in this situation. There's no dialogue. Literally, we're just seeing things play out. So we all can be right? I mean, at the end of the day, there's really nothing that's telling us this is how the game's playing out. So it's to everybody's opinion. So I went down this rabbit hole. I couldn't find out there's actually a third game. It's called The Very Little Nightmares. It's a mobile game.
Yes.
I don't know. So I tried that game because I was like, okay, no, there's more. Give me more. I want more. Let me know. So from playing that game, it's definitely even before Little Nightmares 2. So from playing that game, the timeline goes, at least in my opinion, goes Very Little Nightmares, Little Nightmares 2, Little Nightmares.
Mm-hmm.
In this mobile game, you're played as, from what I read, the character is called the girl in the raincoat or the girl in the yellow coat. And you're basically in this mansion, and your whole goal is trying to get out. There's gnomes in this, and there's actually 2-3 different monster bosses that you kind of have to escape, and they're new. They're not anyone like the other monsters that we come across. The funny thing is, there's special collectibles in the mobile game. If you go through the little nooks and crannies, where there are little jack boxes or Jack in the Box that pop out monsters that have been in the first one and in the second one, which at that time, I don't think the second one, Little Nightmares 2, it wasn't out. So, I don't know how much in development they were, but it wasn't out. So, obviously, there's some tie in there. In the game, towards the end, as you're escaping, you find this little girl who later you find out is Six. You two end up trying to escape, or basically, spoiler alert, the girl in the raincoat ends up falling to her death into the water. Six escapes. And it's in a similar situation as Mono and Six escape the hunter to the city.
Mm-hmm.
And in this situation, basically what I started reading is potentially what ends up happening is the reason why Six ends up picking up that raincoat is because it's a remembrance of the girl in the first one that helped her escape the mansion.
Okay.
So there's deeper meaning. So in the original camp I was in the camp that Six is evil. Six is, and it's just because.
Yeah, I remember that.
Yeah, just only because the way I played out, like I knew Little Nightmares when it came out was good. It looked good. I just never jumped into it until the second one came out. And basically, I played from the first one to the second one, and to me, just going from that from first to second, just six seemed evil. I mean, just the gnome got me. It hurt, man. I was like, no, why my
Yeah,
gnome?
dude, that was
Why my
sad.
gnome? Like, we've been hugging the gnomes all the time in the first one. Now you're gonna bite his head off. Like, come on, like,
That
don't
was
do
so
that.
sad.
She was hungry.
And so, right. But he did offer the sausage. That's what I'm saying. Like, he's like, hey, here.
It
Why you
wasn't
gotta go on
enough.
my neck?
He's a bad
You're
cook.
right.
He learned. He
You're
paid his
right.
He's a
price.
bad cook.
Yeah. So with all this being said, I kind of see now where Elu was coming from, and like I said, everybody was coming from. I don't think she started out evil. I think she definitely was in a situation where just things kept getting worse for her, and all she knew at this point was, I need to survive, whatever it takes. I need to survive.
Mhm.
And so I actually checked out a couple YouTube videos just to get more opinions. I'm just trying to gather all this information. And one of the things that I basically found what people were saying was, if you recall, when Mono finds Six behind that wall, you have to crack open with the axe. You see her playing with the music box.
Mm-hmm.
Basically, that 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 music box is the only comfort she has at this point. That's the only thing that gives her peace. Because literally, that's the only time Six really seems like a little girl. I mean, just
Sorry, one question. Does it say? Hold your thought. But did it say at the end of Very Little Nightmares how she gets? So does it say how she gets abducted by that hunter?
so no, not in the game, but what happens is, I don't know if you recall. So I should have sent it to you, Elo. My apology. I did send Jordan and send Mo the comic books, right? Remember I showed you the app where you can get the comic. So if you in there's one of the first comic books. It actually is like a storytelling of how it happened. So basically, Six gets to the forest, and she's trying to escape, and somehow the hunter appears, and he's actually chasing after her. She ends up kind of losing him to the point where I believe she ends up seeing Mono somewhere, and I think it was in a tree. I could be wrong.
Yeah,
At
you're
that
right.
instant, the hunter comes, snatches her.
Mm-hmm.
And I think that's where Little Nightmares 2 takes place, where now you're as Mono, and I think he must have saw this, and now he wants to go save her. And that's why it seems like that beginning part is him specifically going to the house. You find Six.
So you're saying your intention as Mono was to go rescue her from the beginning of the game.
From the
So
information.
you didn't just stumble upon her.
No.
You knew she was there.
Yes.
See, that's a nice little twist. See, I didn't. Yeah, that's cool. That's cool to know.
Yeah, and like I said, those little comic books, it was pretty crazy because they gave a little more information to Little Nightmares 2, where, I mean, we're talking about there's kids in one of the comic books where it shows them running away from the hanging man, the doctor, whatever, and
Fucking
just kind of
slob,
so definitely it's this, like, and I mean, it could be like what Jordan was saying, where, like, these used to be people that turn into, whether it be the porcelain kids, or obviously we're seeing the change in those pale people that just are stuck to the TV. There's definitely stories behind it, but with these comic books, it definitely shows that something happened. I can't tell you what. I'm definitely still trying to figure out, but definitely something's going on where in this city, the tower is causing people to change. And at one point, this was a actual live city. People were not this crazy. They weren't slobs. They weren't pale monsters. They weren't all this and other. And it's just crazy. Like, I think it's still that I'm still trying to process, like, what the hell happened? Like, tell me, game. But all this being said, I fall into the camp that I do think it's a time loop. And the only reason why I just say that is because, like I said, just going down this rabbit hole, I believe that Six eventually becomes the lady, and Mono eventually becomes the Thin Man. Why? Don't know. It's probably the tower. Is Mono trying to prevent himself from becoming by stopping him from being with Six? I don't know. Is Six, was this gonna be her surviving, her becoming the lady? Was a destiny at all? The whole time? I don't know. But I do believe this is a loop that is just going to continue on. It's just Six is Six because she's a 6-1. She's a Six lady. So the next one's going to be 7. Mono, 1. Maybe he was the original one that started this kid situation.
So you think her name as 6 is intentional?
Yes. Like I said, going down this, interpretations
Dude,
people are different.
Yeah. Who cares? Yeah, rip it. I want to hear this.
So what I saw from information that I gathered, there's pictures on the wall, I believe in the DLC of the first Little Nightmares, where you see, and not only just, there's 6 ladies, or 5, I'm sorry, 5 ladies, which only the 5th one in the middle is kind of colored, while the other 2 are kind of grayish in the background.
Okay.
And then in those same pictures, you can see similar pictures of what looks like to be 6. So I literally do think there's some cycle going on where 6 got picked for whatever reason to, however it plays out, for her to eventually become the lady and get the powers.
So you think, so then what, is the lady 5?
Yeah, was 5.
Yeah.
If there was.
Plot twist.
Dude,
Plot twist.
crazy.
And
That's
maybe
awesome.
maybe Mono is the first Thin Man. Maybe the next one's
Right.
gonna be, I don't know.
That's actually a good point, because what again, we're not going to be able to obviously get all these questions answered, but like, even going by what you said, with the comics itself, so that was the culmination of it, is basically that, because you sent me the comic and I read only the first one. I haven't seen the rest of it yet.
Okay.
But the culmination of it was basically him or her being captured by the hunter, right? Okay. So what was Mono doing there?
Right.
You know what I'm saying? So,
Of course, yeah.
was he already looking for her? If we already know that he went to the cottage to rescue her, under what pretense was he going to rescue her? Like, why? Was it just because he saw her being? Was he on his way to her to find her, or now that he found her, he went to rescue her? Like, I mean, either way, was he going to her?
Right.
And why? Was he going to find her to prevent himself from becoming what he was? If he already knew what he was, did he already know that she was going to betray him? Dude, you want to talk about rabbit hole?
Still going down.
No.
Were you going to say something?
I was just going to say, you should read the rest of the comics. Not that there's anything to read, because it's literally just like, it's all animated, it's all pictures, but each of the comics is literally the story of one of the glitchlings that you encounter.
That's right. Yes.
So that was the one you mentioned,
really?
as far as the the glitchling. I don't know if you found the one that's before the hallway with all the hands coming after you. You basically, as opposed to going down the hall, you just go back up the hall. And there's a pit in there, and then one of the glitchlings is standing over the pit, and there's a bunch of rats in there. You can fall in there, and they'll actually eat you alive. But yeah, one of the comics tells that story.
Yeah, I definitely missed that one.
Yeah, dude, it's pretty cool.
I missed that.
Yeah.
Wow. Okay. Wow. Elu, what's your take on all this, man? You got does this change what, dude? Because he told me some shit. These guys said some stuff right now. Honestly, I didn't even. Well, again, because I just wanted to come into this, just off of what I processed from it, But man, Mariano, you did your homework, dude. This is great. You and Jordan are.
Yeah,
man.
I really enjoyed that analysis. I'm 100% convinced that I am right. I think that everything that I've
always
said is the only way to go. No, those comic books sound really good. I got to try those out.
They're cool, man.
Yeah, it's amazing, all these little details, and the games are filled with. As I think Jordan said, there's nothing that's wasted. Every single frame has a purpose in these games. There's no filler, and that's something that really should be lauded really well. There's even the length of the games. I never felt like, man, it's just drudging on. Maybe the mannequin part, but I digress. The whole game was just, I mean, everything had a purpose, and it was fantastic. There's all these different things to take away, man. I got to go back and play those now and read those comics, take a look at those, and then go back. It's great that there's so much you can get every single time you play through it. There's more depth. 6 being the 6th lady, man, that's excellent. I mean, I kind of, I mean, you get that when she munches on her and gets the power, you kind of figure she's taking over the helm, but I didn't realize it was like some kind of progression. Like there were 5 others. That's really interesting. Yeah. Good stuff, Pampa.
Nice, man. Yeah, that was good. And the other thing really too is, I was trying to figure out, and I obviously couldn't, but without, I didn't want to read about it, but I was trying to figure out why they picked the characters that they picked, to be like the bosses in the game itself. What was the purpose of the teacher?
Right.
Why was she so fucking creepy? Why did she have this long ass neck that was able to track you down no matter where you went? Right. And I was like, because it's not disjointed. Nothing they do is, like you said, like everything has a purpose. Everything that they put in the game has a purpose. Man, I can't believe more people don't talk about that, honestly. But I wanted to see if, like, thematically every one of these bosses like fit something. Like, how does she contribute to the evolution of Six or this relationship, or what is it that they're trying to teach you in this game with this character? What is it that they were trying to teach you with that freaking crazy surgeon or whatever it is? So, dude, that's amazing. Like, you're talking about rabbit hole. Like, honestly, that makes me actually want to get into the Reddit, those pages and look at it, because the one thing you can see is, no, you can never look at something and say like, oh, this person's wrong. And I think the developers did that intentionally. I really do. Unless they just have their own, my wish is for them to just be like, all right, look, since we don't own the IP anymore and we're not going to be able to make the games, motherfuckers, this is what's going on.
Right.
I mean, dude, I would listen to that. I would eat it. I would eat up every second of that. I wish
just like
yeah, but I mean, obviously, I don't think we'll ever get our answers, our questions answered 100%. And I think they did that intentionally.
That's the brilliance of it. Yeah.
Yes, that's exactly what it is. Absolutely, man. So, yeah, dude, I don't know. It's gonna be something. And the other thing too is, do you guys think like this is the end of Mono and Six, or if let's just say Bandai Namco decides to make a 3 with a new team? Do you ever think like they will ever butt heads again? Like, will there be like this ultimate Superman versus
for sure.
Zod
Dead man.
type of, huh?
Dead man versus lady.
That's what it is. Yeah, but is Six now lady? You see, that's the thing.
She has her powers.
I think if they made another one, you'd be a wholly new protagonist, and then you would encounter each of these people. I don't think you'd see the battle between Six and Mr. Hattie. I think
Mr. Hattie.
Sounds
one at
too
a time.
superficial. Yeah, sounds too superficial. They won't make something that shallow, like Six versus Hattie. I don't know what and honestly, they don't have to.
No.
They really don't have to, because this kind of reminds me of the end of the first Matrix, right? The Matrix, as much as I loved the series, the more it went on, the shittier it got, right? The Matrix could have ended after the first movie and nobody would have complained, right? I personally think like it was amazing the way it ended. They made a point, they gave you enough info for you to take whatever it is that you wanted from it, and at the same time, like, they also left it. Obviously, they left it a little open ended for the sequels that they made. But I felt like the more exposition and the more they elaborated on that world, the more they took away from the brilliance that was from the first movie, right? And I think that if they if they keep doing that with Little Nightmares, selfishly, we want more, right? But at the same time, I think if they just end it here, I would seriously have no problem with it. I think it would just be brilliant.
Sure.
I would remain brilliant.
Oh yeah.
Especially if it's going to be a new team, man. You don't want that. These people lived and breathed these 2 games like it's their baby, and you just can't expect anyone to come in with that love and care for this world. Another team with this much amount of love and care for this world in order for them to. I don't know. Maybe I'm just being judgmental, but I can't see it.
Oh, you're right. I mean, that never works. I mean, people might say, well, 343 kind of with Halo, but not really.
In my mind! You're in my mind!
There you go, Mo. Take it away, buddy.
Dude, no, I'm finished. No, I'm saying I swear to God, 343 was in my head while I was talking. But man, that was great.
Yeah, it's because we're all together. We are all mono.
There you go.
Mr. Hattie.
It really seems like
they've done it. Wow.
Yeah, man. Honestly, well, this was great, man. This was seriously awesome.
Yeah.
Do you guys have any final thoughts on anything with this, with Little Nightmares, or anything that you wanted to add to this little spoiler cast? It was more of like a discussion than a spoiler cast, to be honest with you.
Oh, that's good. Oh, I enjoyed it. I think the only thing
All
that
right,
I would
well.
say is if they were to not make a third one, I think you're right. I think it would be okay because it would be ending on such a high note. It's so hard to come up with a good trilogy, especially if you don't have the team that made the first two working on a third one. So there's going to be a lot of unanswered questions. But like I said, sophomore slumps are a very real thing. But they knocked it out of the park with this. So like I said,
Isn't that crazy,
yeah,
man?
yeah. It's like they just cranked up
Seriously.
everything about the first one. They just dialed it up.
They cranked up. They did such a. I mean, we've talked about our opinions on like which one, which one we liked more and which one kind of like was more cohesive. And I know we've talked about that before. Ilu, you said you preferred the first game just because of you felt like it was more visceral. Like in terms of the whole gluttony thing, and like there was one purpose the entire game, right? That was one thing that just. If you guys want to touch on that real quick, like what was it that you preferred? Like which one did you like more, and which one did you? That was the one thing that I wanted to ask you.
Yeah, well, for me, it was I did like the first one better because, like you said, it was not only was it a more visceral experience. I felt it had the gameplay that was consistent throughout the entire thing. I felt like I really enjoyed every moment of that. There weren't slip ups like in I'm sorry Part 2, but the mannequin scene didn't quite execute like the way you wanted it to. But the ending of Part 2 was definitely the more the more discussion worthy of the two.
Mm-hmm.
But the first one just had the entire package from beginning to end that I really enjoyed. As far as the gameplay goes, like that's what I would definitely want to go through again and just to enjoy it, and not just to kind of experience it, but really enjoy myself. However, that people say I prefer this. It doesn't mean that I hate the Part 2. Like Part 2 is right there. It's fantastic. But I happen to prefer the first one. That's all.
Sure. Yeah.
You lie. That's how the internet works.
You lie. It's not how the internet works.
Totally fair point.
You don't like it, it sucks.
You pick one, you hate the other.
Right?
One.
No, that's fair point.
See right
through
me.
Jordan, what about you? Considering I know you played the first one multiple times, you played the DLCs, you played the second one. What do you think?
I would agree with Elu as far as one being a more cohesive experience. I enjoyed 2 more. Ultimately, that's just because it kind of like gave me more as far as like bigger environments, more stuff to interact with. I didn't struggle with the mannequin part as much as you guys did. That's your fault, not mine.
Yeah,
I'm just kidding. I'm just kidding. Oh god. But no, like the soundtrack. I listen to the soundtrack sometimes, man. I'm still blown away by just how intense some of those pieces are. But no, everything I know, it's soundtrack. I enjoyed. So I think just with all that said, like I said, it was everything I loved about 1, but just kind of dialed up. In terms of shock factor, production, art design, everything, and that's ultimately just where I stand on that. And I don't want to talk about Secrets of the Maw. I want to so badly because I know you guys haven't finished it, but you need to play that DLC.
Play it,
okay. Let's do. Okay, all right. I'll bring it up real quick.
Spoilercast.
So,
Elu?
Is that okay, Elu?
Okay, go ahead.
Okay, so Secrets of the Maw, essentially, you play as this boy, and I forget his name. I don't know if he has a name or not. But the big twist at the end of it is because
I think they name as the Runaway Kid.
Gotcha. Cool. Perfect. Thank you, Pompa.
What was it?
The Runaway Kid.
I think they name him as a Runaway Kid.
Oh, okay.
So your story takes place parallel to 6's. By the very end of it, the lady captures you. And she turns you into a gnome. So you reunite with your gnome buddies, and then you walk out. And like, oh, this area looks familiar. I think I'm in the banquet hall. And you pick up a sausage, and then the camera pans out. The camera pans out and fades to black. I was freaking
oh,
yes.
It's a gut punch. freaking gut punch,
Wow.
Uh,
Wow.
oh, well, he's
That's
about to have
crazy.
a bad day.
man. Yes.
See,
And especially because
man.
the DLC is so tough.
Yes.
You die so much. All this to then later find out you didn't get chopped by
Yep.
damn six. That's why she's evil. I hate her. She sucks. I'm kidding. I'm kidding.
You know what though, man? I'll be honest with you. So I did actually read up on the secrets of the mall, right? Because I told you I was playing the DLC, but then every time I died, the game just wouldn't reload.
Yes.
So I got so
Yeah.
fucking annoyed. I'm like, you know what? Screw this shit. I'm not gonna do this again. So I just read up on it, and dude, there was a lot of people that were pissed off about that. You know, about what happens with this whole sausage thing and whatever. Like they were like, you take us on this whole thing and you make us care about this person, and then and then he
that's
ended up dying, and it
what's
was all
brilliant
for
about it.
nothing. And I'm like,
That's
have you
weak.
not fucking read or watched tragedies before? Like, I
Yeah.
mean, like, what do you want everything to just be a bed of
No.
roses? Just be like, hey,
Yeah.
good guy wins at the end. Like,
Wow.
it fits within the theme. Like,
Yeah.
maybe for
Yeah.
me,
Absolutely.
because I don't know, man. Like I usually, like, whenever I'm annoyed by something, like from a narrative perspective, like, yeah, you process it for a second. I don't overreact. I don't really give a shit, to be honest with you. I just get so immersed because whenever it happens, I just keep telling myself, I'm like, okay, this is for a reason. All right.
Yeah.
Case in point, The Last of Us 2, the big thing that happens, I really, really didn't care. Right. Like, I mean, as much as I loved the first game and as much as attached I was to the characters, I'm like, okay, they did this. There's a reason why. I want to know why. Show me the reason why. You showed me the reason why. Maybe I agree with it. Maybe I don't. But okay. Jon Snow in Game of Thrones, right? He was. We were led on to believe he was the Messiah. You know, he was raised back from the dead. R plus L equals J. He is the rightful heir to the throne, and they fucking throw him past the wall. Back into the wildlings. Did I like it? No. But I'm like, okay, I guess this is what you wanted. So, yeah, man, I don't know. Like, I mean, that's just another conversation. I think people just overreact, honestly.
Indeed.
But that's badass, honestly. I would have loved to experience that.
was
That
great.
fucking
It
DLC
was
kept
great.
reloading, and it wouldn't
I
give
know.
me.
Oh,
it
that
wouldn't give me
bug was a
problems.
mess, Mo. I'm telling you, that bug pissed me off.
Yeah, I just didn't even bother. Yeah. Oh, hey, man, that was great. That was awesome. Well, boys, we kept it under an hour.
How about
Yeah.
that?
We kept
Nice.
it under an hour. I
Miracles
appreciate you
do
guys coming. It was a great. I think if Ainsley would have joined us, it would have definitely been over an
Oh,
hour.
come on. Yeah.
Easily. He's probably gonna listen to this. We miss you, buddy. But yeah, no, thanks for coming, guys. This was great. Great conversation.
Yeah.
We obviously love these games. Only thing for me is I don't really have a preference, to be honest with you, in terms of one or two. I like you guys said, 2 was bigger, better. It was like it didn't go the Gears of War route, right? Like Gears of War 2, Gears of War 2, they said it was, remember, bigger, better, more badass. Like that was like the tagline behind it. But I feel like as good as it was, it kind of lost a little bit of what the first one had, right? That whole creep factor and whatnot. Like, I mean, so they just went for more spectacle in 2. So while they did this with this one, they still really, really kept it, like, I mean, just like Elu said, like it's right there. I mean, so they really kept the heart and soul of it, and it's just amazing to be able to do it in a second one, in your sophomore effort. So, yeah, man, I'm not going to make that decision here right now. It's giving me anxiety, but
Just say it. Little Nightmares 2 was better.
There you go, Pampa.
Well.
Elu's wrong. Just say it.
Mr. Hattie.
Pampa could be wrong.
Always, Elu. Always.
I will tell you though, man. Honestly, as the last thing, that mannequin part, I was bitching about it so much, dude. It drove me fucking nuts. It drove me nuts. I'm like, I can't be this bad. I cannot be this bad. There's no way I am this bad. I have beat hard games. I beat Ghost Runner. This is not as hard. This is nowhere near as hard. Don't do this to me. Oh man! All right. Well, yeah. Thanks for joining. Thank you guys for coming and joining. Honestly, it was a great
Thanks for
convo.
having
Thank
us.
you, Mo.
I think right after we get out of here, we're probably going to jump on Xbox and continue our, nightly
Most
escapades.
likely.
Yeah. So if you guys are listening, we hope you guys enjoyed it. This is a cool little, spoiler cast that I wanted to do for this game, and I wanted these gentlemen to join me because we had some great conversation, and we hope you guys enjoy it. Thank you for listening. Thank you for watching if you do want to watch, and hopefully we'll do something like this in the future. So for Mo and Elu and Jordan and Pampa, we'll see you guys on the flip side, baby. Bye. Bye. My fingers hurt.
Adios.